Why did you decide to bring active allocators together?
We decided to bring active allocators together really predicated an idea that Chris Battaglia, the publisher of Pensions and Investments, and I had nearly 20 years ago, which was if we could create, in some ways, our dream event, what would it look like? And we imagined walking into a room where every person we met had a few key elements. They were the decision makers, they were the top of their game, they were actively allocating to alternatives, and they had an interest to want to share their insights, their thoughts with their peers and with managers. And so that's what we had the privilege of building. We really thought that through, and it was an extraordinary gift to be able to be worthy of top allocators around the world, of their time and their interest, and bring them to have that type of dialogue. And now 80, 90 later, what a privilege to be essentially the center point in some ways for new thought, for new ideas, not just asset allocation and portfolio construction, dynamics, macro thematic views in the market, but far and away more importantly, which is what is the problem that each of them are respectively trying to solve, and how can we as a collective group find a way to solve it? How can we think through a better, more efficient paradigm, both in not just operational and regulatory risk or business risk or headline risk, and not even investment risk in itself, but far and away more important is what are the pros and cons, do's and don'ts, lessons learned, and how can we bring those to bear so that we can all be a better collective group with each individual person's story. And I think we've done that well through building Epic Returns.
What makes Epic Returns distinct?
What makes it distinct is kind of a few key factors. The first of which is we wanted it to feel safe. We wanted to remove anything that felt too heavy or too dramatic or too fancy. Let's get down to the simplicity. Let's really rip it down to its simplest core, which are simply people talking to people. And let's find a way to determine, to make sure that the people that are coming are prepared for that type of engagement, that type of dialogue, where they felt they were in a really sheltered environment where they could be very colloquial, they could be very honest. And that's what we were hoping to build. And by doing that, we created not only the venue at the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay, which is such a beautiful venue, but even within each room to try to build a salon style. Think of Paris in the 20s or 30s, but something that felt intimate, sexy, comfortable, but also gave one the proclivity to have much more of an engaging dialogue than something more formal with colored lanyards and thousands of people in a big lonely room. It just felt so dismissive in some ways and so awkward that how could we find a way to make it smaller with only 150 people, more intimate, more senior, with regard to the importance that each person brings to this event. And I think and I hope that it's a new paradigm. That's what we were really hoping to build, was a new way to think, a new way to engage, and a new level of rapport. So at the end of 3 days, which feels like not very long, and yet you really have built this extraordinary relationship with people that you maybe thought you knew that you don't, or new faces, and to do it in a way that kind of like camp. You have a group experience that everyone gets to be a part of at the same time. And what a pleasure to be a part of it, and to also be in some ways the auteur, to think through casting a big flare into the sky and seeing who follows it. So we hope it's the beginning of many things to come. Is that it? Okay, thanks.